Right, there's a minute and a half to go for the market open. The pre-open has left us about 70 odd points higher actually. So it's going to be a pretty decent, good start. Let's see if the gains can hold. Let me get our panel on and let me tell you who we have. Rajiv Dimri, leader in direct tax, BMR and Associates. We've got Gokul Chaudhary from BMR. He's leader direct tax. Ajay Bagga is with us. Madan Sabnivas is with us from Care Ratings. Atul Joshi, managing director, chief executive officer, India Ratings. Thanks very much, all of you. Good morning for being here on this Saturday morning. Mr. Dimri, let me come to you first. Indirect taxes. Are there any real expectations?
Oh, there are more than real expectations. Just to name a few, this whole Make in India campaign, there are expectations that some announcements will be made to encourage that. Of course, Make in India is not just about taxes, but taxes do play a big role in a sector like manufacturing, where taxes play a very important cost component. Also to do with, reducing the adversarial tax environment, which has permeated throughout
Make in India, what exactly? Specifically, what can be done?
An area which this government had promised, and therefore I have some expectations around. Well, one is that we are not just trying to revive the sector, we're trying to grow the sector. And in India, as you know, often the data that gets suggested that roughly 17-18% of the sector, which is manufacturing, contributes about 60-65% of the revenue. So it is a very highly taxed sector. To make it competitive, not just the environment has to change, but the tax impact has to change.
I'm going to interrupt you there.
GST is one area that
to just read out the prices for our viewers as to how we are doing. I'll come right back to you, sir. What we've got is 70 odd points on the Nifty and about 250 odd points on the Sensex. So that's about 0.8 odd % higher. So it's looking good. This follows from yesterday's strong gains as well. So this is the market open right before the budget. BHEL is up 2.33%. The gainers are coming up on your screen. I'm going to read out the screen here. I can see it actually. Let me just read out from the screen here. Coal India is up 0.5%. Axis Bank is up 1.35%. Sesa Sterlite is up 0.5%. We've got Tata Motors 0.6%. Power Grid is up about 0.6%. So this is how prices are coming up. NMDC is up 3/4. Reliance is up 3/4. ONGC is up 1%. HDFC Bank is up 0.5%. Hindalco is up 0.6%. Kane India is up 1.7%. Asian Paints is up 0.5% or so. GAIL, Gas Authority, is up 0.6%. HDFC Limited is up about 1.25%. Bharti is up about 1%. Wipro is up 0.6%. Sun Pharma is up 0.5%. Bharti Airtel is up 1%. Lever is up about 1/3%. Maruti is up 0.13%. And so it goes. I think the first dread is Ambuja Cements. It's starting down 0.5% or so. I think Nifty is at the highest levels since the 30th of Jan. So we're getting back to interesting levels. I mean, we got to almost 9,000 and then the market sold off. I think the high was just 4 points short of, all-time high was just 4 or 5 points short of the 9,000 level. Today could be the day, 9,000. 8899 is where we are, 56 points, 200 points in the Sensex, 29,415. I'm being told there's some action in mid-cap infrastructure stocks, so they're coming up on your screen. Lanco Infrastructure, GVK, GMR, the usual suspects. Gammon is on your screen. So I think GVK will come. So I think there is action. There's Simplex and there are many names. Sadbhav Engineering and there's, you can talk about Capital Goods and Havels and Tromptons and Voltas and NBCC and an entire pack, Capital Goods / Infra, that is looking higher. And that's one space which usually, for the last couple of years, because that sector has been dead and out, there is expectation that the budget will do more to give that sector a boost. So stocks naturally get bid up quite a bit and then sometimes get sold out after the budget comes through. Banks, I'm being told, are also starting higher, at least the big ones, BOB, PNB, SBI, are the Nifty 50 names, PSU names. ICICI Bank, Kotak, IndusInd, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank are the Nifty private sector names, and they're all starting higher on your screen one by one as we stand. So it's a good start. 50 points on the Nifty and about 190 odd points on the Sensex so far. I think DLF is up 1.25%. That, of course, got sold into pretty bad news, one after the other now for the last many months. DLF low was 100. It's back at 160. Godrej Properties is coming up. So real estate, Soba, Purvankara, and some of the others as well, Orbit on your screen, which are starting up right now. But this is, you know, you can't really take away anything from these prices in terms of what can come for the sector. Markets have their own logic, and it's all about positioning as well. What's already at stake, what's already on the table, what's already invested, and then you act accordingly. A good budget doesn't mean the market necessarily goes up if the market has already been bid up quite a bit, as may be the case today. Let's see. But for now, we are starting higher. Let's just go back to our guests, and we'll keep rotating the most active stocks by volume and price on the side. Mr. Dimri, I interrupted you there. You were starting to tell us for Make in India specifically, which you said a lot can be done. What can be done specifically, sir?
Well, let's start with the basic fact that manufacturing, which is roughly 18, 19, 20% of the GDP, contributes 60-65% of the revenue. So that right there tells you that it is a heavily burdened sector. Obviously, no single budget can change that. Many things have to happen. But if there is a major campaign around Make in India, taxes play a significant part of it. We need stability, and we need transparency, and we need a less adversarial environment. I think the budget could, besides making some incentives, could also talk about a plan where the stability of a tax regime will be visible for next 2-3 years, rather than things changing one budget to another. That could be a possibility. So a lot has to happen in this sector to create a vibrancy and viability of the sector to compete against global players. So I don't have specifics in terms of, whether inverted duty structure is the way to go or reduction of rates is the way to go. There are many thoughts that have to go into it, but some interventions are needed in the sector, and I'll be keenly watching those as the budget unravels itself.
Do you think this less adversarial tax regime, right? We've heard this over and over again now for the last couple of years. We've heard in some famous cases like the Vodafone case where the government said, well, we won't appeal in the higher court. We'll accept the court's decision, which went in favor of the High Court's decision, went in favor of Vodafone. Overall, right? But that's just one case. It's a big case. It's a publicized case. Overall, do you think over the last, because the Revenue Department, the government has issued many circulars saying and directing its foot soldiers to be less adversarial. Do you think it's really happened, or you think litigation continues to mount? Mr. Dimri.
I think litigation continues to mount. Yes, I welcome the decision that the government made on Vodafone, but I would use it as an example that is one debate that should have never happened in India. Yes. It did happen. It consumed so much energy. It consumed so much. It created so much negativity. To give you a small example, we have right now one of the fastest growing sector in the country is e-commerce. It is a new sector, and therefore there is a need to relook at how it needs to be taxed. But rather than a collaborative effort of how it should be taxed, that sector is facing adversarial environment from all across the country. So before the sector has even gained ground, it has already gotten into huge amounts of controversies that will take maybe 5-10 years to resolve.
Tax laws,
and that's not how you're going to nurture
or it's about the implementation.
So the tax
right? Okay, let me just give you three choices. Is it how tax laws are written, and hence they're implemented in that way? Is it about how they are, how people interpret, tax officers interpret it and take a liberal interpretation? Or see, it's very plainly put, the government has to have revenue, needs revenue. So, a target is set and they go all out to meet the target.
Well, let me start with the first question that you're raising last, that if it's revenue driven, are these demands converting into revenue for the government? Because government's own data suggests that for every 100 rupee of revenue that they claim, they get less than 10%. So if it was all converting into revenue, I could have understood and I could have seen the logic. But if it is simply creating negativity around it, if it is distracting the management attention, then it is something that is undesirable. So it is certainly not achieving the objective of revenue, but it is certainly creating an environment where nothing is certain. You raise a demand today, and if the balance sheet of that company, because of the contingent liability, becomes infested for next 5 years, it is not creating an environment where new businesses are growing. So I don't blame the way the tax laws are written. No tax law can be written to account for next 50 years of evolution. Things will change. It is the spirit where you say, if something is new, something is impacting the industry, let's sit down and let's find a solution, rather than treat everything as an anti-evasionary tactics.
All right, fair enough. Got that. Mr. Dimri, I understand you've got to run. You've got an appointment, so we'll let you go. I'll see you here in our studios right out of the budget. That should be around 1 p.m., assuming the budget speech gets done by then. Thank you very much, Mr. Dimri. Atul, let me come to you. So, big day. We've discussed the fiscal deficit in some detail when you were on the show earlier. But as we get closer to it, we have the economic survey as well, and we'll put out some graphics which I don't think the economic survey generally tells us anything about what is going to be in the union budget. But if you were to extrapolate, it tells us two things. One, the eco survey says that it's okay with delaying the roadmap of fiscal consolidation. That's one. B, it said don't expect big bang reforms. Right? Those are the two things that I noticed. Go on, Atul.
Go on, Atul. Yep. I think both those comments are very good comments from our perspective. If there are choices between delaying the fiscal consolidation, which is very aggressive, from 4.1 to 3.6, I think it's very, very aggressive given the fiscal situation and the global scenario today. So there is no harm in continuing the path of consolidation, but not being aggressive about it. 3.9, I think, is a good number if the government announces it. So I think it is something which I would look forward to. Something which is more aggressive than 3.9, I don't think would be necessarily a positive from the country's perspective. If you look at what the other part which you mentioned about Big Bang reforms, do we really need Big Bang reforms, and whether budget is the right platform for announcing those Big Bang reforms? I think the focus has to shift from the Big Bang reforms to something which is like the roadmap or the procedural paths where, for example, last budget we announced about 100 smart cities, but where to go to? If an investor is there, he doesn't really know where to start from. So something where, the announcements as to what is the next step. Are we setting up something which is a center-state coordination committee at the central level, which will work with the state governments, and then how the investments can be channelized to achieve the goal? I think that is more important. So some announcements to that effect would be very useful, and then I would look forward to those rather than,
discuss this in detail,
DTC or GAR or something like that.
Yeah, I think one thing Big Bang we need or not, I think we should find a new nomenclature for Big Bang. Replace Big Bang. I think people are quite sick of it, right? Big Bang. Call it something else. And Atul, I must say, and I said this earlier when you were on the show, for the head of a rating company, rating agency, to say, well, it's okay if the fiscal deficit is slightly higher, I think, congratulations. I think it's quite a feat. Otherwise, the usual thing is reduce the fiscal deficit, reduce it, bring it down to 3.6, cannot afford any slippage, etc., etc. So you stand out in that regard, absolutely. Let me get a quick word in from Ajay as well. Ajay?
Let me just make one correction.
Go on.
I didn't say increase. I said 4.1 can go to 3.9. So we're still continuing on the path of consolidation,
that's fine,
but not being aggressive.
But not 3.6.
That's what I meant.
Not 3.6.
Yeah, not 3.6, yes.
At 30 basis points, GDP is quite large. So I think that's the point. You're not saying... you're not saying 3.6, 3.9, which is fine. Fair enough. Ajay, where do you stand? Markets, what's the most important thing for you out of this budget?
I think most important thing, Prashant, as we already discussed, I think what the fiscal number will look at, I think it's going to be piecemeal reforms, incrementalism rather than big bang. The good thing is from the last budget, the interim budget to now, structural drivers have significantly improved, both domestically as well as globally. A lot of things going for the Indian economy, so that gives some headroom. You see the subsidy bill, it will come down from about 2% of GDP to 1.4%. Still room to reduce it further. The petrol subsidy had only 6 months of benefit of a falling price. Now the full price will go in. As the economic survey mentioned yesterday, government has pocketed out of the 50% oil price fall, government has pocketed 33%, passed on 17% of that to Indian consumers. So they've kept a big cushion, a big buffer, and in place like excise hikes and stuff like that. So I would say incrementalism. They will address all the key keynotes of the Prime Minister, like Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, Clean India. All those will get addressed. Third, public investments are going to kickstart the capex cycle. There's no private capex cycle coming in a hurry. So even this year, we can probably write off much of private capex coming in. It will be public, be it defense, be it railways, be it roads, transmission and distribution in power, new power plants. I think a lot will come through the public route. So we'll have to look at that number, which is normally about 1.8% of GDP, the capex
got that
number, 2 lakh odd crores. How higher does that go? We have already seen in the railway budget, it's a 33% higher print. How much bigger is it for all the capex of the government?
Rail budget was 50%, 52%, right?
Number.
From 60,000 crores, which, by the way, they managed to spend. They said we'll spend 60, they actually spent 60. They're saying we'll spend 1,10,000 crores.
I'm talking about the budgetary allocation, Prashant, 30,000 to 40,000.
Oh, from the central government. Center is going to contribute that much more. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. No, absolutely. If that is any hint, then they should be okay spending more in the main budget as well. Let's take a quick break. Have to do that. When we come back, we've not really given an opportunity for all the guests to participate in, so we'll do that in a bit. Take a quick break here. Markets are trading. It's a Saturday. Markets are trading, so we can't ignore that. 220 points on the Sensex, 29,440, and about 8,910 on the Nifty. So this is looking pretty strong. We've been trading this for about 15 minutes or so. Take a break. Be right back in 2 minutes.